Tonight, the Attorney General must go. That's the minority's demand, accusing Dominic Ayine of approving an illegal 350 million cedis payout for flood victims. They say he saw the court order blocking contingency fund withdrawals and told Bank of Ghana to pay anyway.
Should he fail to do the honorable thing, we call on the president who swore an oath to preserve, protect, and defend this constitution to relieve him of office without delay.
Well, the minority also wants the BOG probed and the real source of the cash reviewed.
The Attorney General, aware of subsisting court process, directed the Central Bank of the Republic to proceed, notwithstanding it on no authority by his own considered opinion.
More on top story tonight, brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you. This is from Joy 99.5 FM, also live on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and also on ATL 100.5 in Cape Coast. Well, let's settle for this tonight. A legal firestorm over flood money. Minority MPs want Attorney General Dominic Ayine sacked and the BOG probed, as well as the real source of an unlawful 350 million payout for flood victims reviewed. Government says the cash was from the contingency fund, but the minority says there is a court injunction freezing that particular account. The minority is raising fresh concern over the source of the money, indicating that there is currently a court order barring government from making any withdrawal from the contingency fund. First, listen to Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Appiah, who disclosed that there was a memo from the Attorney General acknowledging a restraining order, but impressed on the BOG to go ahead with the release of the fund.
In this letter, headed Release of Funds from the Contingency Fund for the Emergency Flood Response Program, the Attorney General writes to the Governor of the Central Bank, and we quote his exact words: "I'm aware that the contingency fund is presently the subject of a garnishee proceeding." Ladies and gentlemen, the Attorney General of the Republic confirms in writing that the contingency fund, a fund established by the Constitution of Ghana, is under garnishee proceedings before a court of this land. A judgment creditor has moved against the very fund from which Parliament approved 350 million Ghana cedis for flood victims. Until this moment, neither the government nor the Attorney General had breathed a word of this to Parliament or to the people of Ghana. And what does the Attorney General do? Confronted with a court process against the Constitutional Fund, does he go before the court? Does he apply to vary or discharge the attachments? Does he plead a national emergency before a judge, as the law provides and as any diligent counsel would? No. He continues, and again we quote, "Notwithstanding those proceedings, it is my considered opinion the exceptional circumstances surrounding this national emergency and the overriding public interest in safeguarding lives and property warrant the immediate release of the approved funds." Unquote. He then advises the Bank of Ghana to give effect to the approvals and directives already issued, and to release the 350 million from the contingency fund without delay. Then it is in his own hand. The Attorney General, aware of subsisting court process, directed the Central Bank of the Republic to proceed, notwithstanding it on no authority his own considered opinion.
So that is the Deputy Minority Leader, Patricia PJ there. Let me now take you to Parliament and bring in our parliamentary correspondent, James Aveji, into the. James, what more have they been saying?
Brace, the minority believe that in the face of what they have seen in that memo, only two options were available for the BOG and the Attorney General to explore. One is that the BOG might have gone ahead to obey the directive of the Attorney General and disburse the money from the contingency fund, which will be a violation of that court order. Or two, the money might have been disbursed in another account, government account, which has not been of these are violations, according to the minority.
The Ministry of Finance subsequently announced that the 350 million cedis had been released while the court process remained unresolved. The unavoidable question, therefore, is how did the money move? One conclusion is difficult to escape. If the contingency fund remained under attachment and could not lawfully be assessed, then the emergency disbursement could only have proceeded through another public account. In other words, when the approved source became unavailable, an alternative source appears to have been used. If that is what occurred, then Parliament was never asked to approve the alternative source, and the constitutional requirements governing withdrawals from public funds were bypassed. Yet the Ministry of Finance official statement announced without qualification that the money had been released from the contingency fund. If the funds were in fact drawn from another account, then that statement did not accurately reflect what transpired. If the 350 million was drawn from any account other than the contingency fund, then the approval Parliament granted was never executed. The withdrawal that was executed was never approved. And the Constitution and the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, which criminalizes unauthorized withdrawals of public funds, have been violated in broad daylight.
Well, James, what are they requesting?
A number of requests to the AG, the Ministry of Finance, and the BOG. But the important one is that the AG immediately, the fact that this act, in their opinion, constitutes wrongdoing, should immediately resign his position. Failure of that, President Mahama must terminate his appointment. If all of these demands are not met, they would go any length, even if it includes going to the Supreme Court to seek answers on the questions they are raising.
Consider third, Article 8.8. The Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to the government and is responsible for the conduct of all civil proceedings against the state. His letter of 1st July 2026 is a written admission of failure on both fronts. As the officer responsible for civil proceedings against the state, he presided over litigation in which a constitutional fund of the Republic was attached, and there's no indication that the attachment was resisted or that any application was made to discharge it. As principal legal advisor, when the moment came to counsel lawfully, should he fail to do the honorable thing, we call on the President, who swore an oath to preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution, to relieve him of office without delay. The minority accordingly demands, first, the Attorney General and the Minister for Finance appear before Parliament without delay to lay before the House the garniture order, the full record of the suit that produced the judgment debt, the letter of 1st July 2026, and every correspondence exchanged among the Attorney General, the Ministry of Finance, the Controller and Accountant General, and the Bank of Ghana concerning the attachment, the directives, and the withdrawal. Second, that the Governor of Bank of Ghana state publicly whether the bank declined to give effect to the Attorney General's directive, from which account the 350 million cedis was in fact released and on whose instruction. Third, the Auditor General immediately conduct a special audit of the flood response disbursement from source to destination and report to Parliament. Fourth, the Attorney General resign or be removed from office. The minority further serves notice. Should candid answers not be forthcoming, we shall pursue every parliamentary and legal avenue available to us, including motion for a full-scale parliamentary inquiry and recourse to the Supreme Court for the enforcement of the Constitution under Article 2 and 130.
This is Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and also by Short Pension Trust. Now let's bring in Felix Kwachofosu, Minister of State, Government Communications, and also MP for Abra Sebu Komankesi. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Now, what's government response to the request by the minority?
Well, it is yet more waste of everybody's time over nothing. I'm surprised that the minority finds it necessary to use precious time to make calls that are completely misplaced, baseless, and totally unwarranted. And I think that same must be dismissed. First of all, no wrongdoing has been occasioned whatsoever. The Minister of Finance went to Parliament on the of the President to seek leave of the Finance Committee to withdraw 350 million Ghana cedis for purposes of financing government's response to the devastating floods of last week. 150 million of it was intended to finance relief efforts, while the remainder was to go into post-flood mitigation efforts. The Finance Committee of Parliament granted that leave. Let me stress that when it comes to the contingency fund, Parliament as a whole does not need to approve it. It is just a committee of Parliament that gives approval, and that will suffice. After that, the Finance Minister wrote to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana to release the said amount from the contingency fund. The Governor of the Bank of Ghana then informed the Finance Minister that apparently there is a garnishee order brought by a family that has been in litigation with government over some land dating back to the 1930s. And for that reason, he was unable to release the funds so that he does not go against the court order. The Attorney General preferred an opinion, which is in the public domain. The Attorney General only preferred an opinion, which he is entitled to do. It does not offend the laws of Ghana in any way, shape, or form. Eventually, it was decided that the court order be respected so that government does not touch the money in the contingency fund. So the Finance Minister, in view of the fact that we were facing a disaster, and therefore one could not wait for processes to be initiated to set aside the garnishee order, explored other options. Now, my brother, the minority is fully aware that when they passed or they joined Parliament or they joined the majority to pass the 2026 budget, at page 203, the finance minister clearly stated that among the items that he once passed was what was titled contingency. That is item 44, contained on page 203, appendix 4D. Now, contingency is broken into two. There's what we first call the contingency vote, which is part of the money that Parliament appropriated. And then there's what we call the contingency fund. To touch the contingency vote, the finance minister does not need Parliament's approval again after appropriations have been passed. To touch the contingency fund, the finance minister needs approval from the finance committee, as I've indicated. So when efforts to take money from the contingency fund, which requires parliamentary approval, did not go through because of the Ganeshi order, the finance minister simply went into the contingency votes, which contained an amount of 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, to take out the 350 million Ghana cedis. It's perfectly lawful. He does not need parliamentary approval because Parliament has already, by virtue of passing the Appropriations Act, empowered him to use that money as he deems fit, except that at the end of the financial year, as is routinely done, he would account for how he used the money. That is all. So there's really no issue. No law has been breached. There has been nothing done that is illegal. In any event, it must be pointed out that this has been done pending the resolution of the matter involving the Ganeshi. Once that is lifted, the finance minister will just reimburse from the contingency fund into the contingency vote. That is all that there is. Even if the Ganeshi order is not lifted, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. The finance minister has the necessary authority to disburse funds from the contingency vote. This is the position of the law. So that is why I started by saying that the minority was waiting for this time once again and making demands that are completely baseless and not grounded in any fact.
So were the minority members of the Finance Committee present when this discussion was being held?
That is immaterial, my brother. There is no challenge to the fact that Parliament indeed granted leave for the finance minister to take money from the contingency fund. So who was present or not is completely material. Parliament's Finance Committee was duly constituted. They had quorum to do their work.
So I guess by your response, because you had quorum, whether or not the minority were there or not, doesn't matter.
It is immaterial. That's all. If the minority decides that they will show up in Parliament, it doesn't mean that the business of Parliament will not go on. That must be placed on record. All that has to, the right numbers must be there. That's all.
So the minority members stayed out of this deliberation?
I don't even know who was there or was not there. But I was in Parliament that day. There was no indication from the minority that there was no quorum or that anything unlawful had happened. None whatsoever. Not everybody who is a member of Parliament is a member of Parliament's Finance Committee. So we sat in the chamber whilst they deliberated and came back with a report that they had indeed done this, which is perfectly lawful. And the records of Parliament captures it. It was on that basis that the finance minister sought to proceed.
Okay, Felix, do hold for me. Let me bring in Jerry Ahmed Shaib, who is second deputy minority whip and MP for Weja Bawi. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, Felix is explaining that the monies that were used were not from the contingency fund, but actually from the contingency vote, which Parliament approved. So, if that's the case, has anything wrong been done?
This is the first time I'm hearing about the other fund is referenced. We are clear in our mind that they came to Parliament and the request was to use monies from the contingency account. And a specific account was referenced. Now, what we are seeking to do is to say that, yes, we understand there is an emergency. We understand that our people have all been victims of this flood. So let's go through the process of taking proper cogent steps, including collecting the right data. and paying them whatever the government has decided to disburse. But it's as if we are rushing to just go and give the money to some people who are not even entitled, and that there is a garnishee proceedings pending. And this conversation, there was a communication between the Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr.
Ghana.
Mr. Ahmed, but
Let me make my point, please.
The point that he acknowledges this discussion you are referring to, but he says that was in respect of the contingency fund, but this amount was taken out of the contingency vote, which is on page 203 of the budget that was appropriated.
But the point I'm making is that it came to Parliament for a particular approval, and this approval was towards the contingency fund, and that when there was a change, they could have come back to Parliament for a same approval or a similar approval. That is what we are saying, that even with the approval, we are not even sure of the beneficiaries of this amount that have been released. I am a member of Parliament for Wejagbawe, one of the hardest hit constituencies in this flooding situation. Nobody has spoken to me, no MC, no minister, no official. So who is giving them the statistics? Who is giving them the figures of those who are supposed to benefit? I personally visited constituents, and I spoke to one man called Azuma Nelson. In fact, he asked me to personally mention his name. That nobody has spoken to him, nobody has come to him. How is he going to be a beneficiary of this amount of money that has been released?
So are your issues with how the funds will be used or have been used, or it is with the source of the fund?
We have one, the source of the fund that we approved is not what has been cleared. Two, who are the beneficiaries of the fund? We know they are supposed to be flood victims. I have more than 12,000 flood victims in my constituency that nobody has reached out to them. So who are receiving these amounts of money? And what is the criteria? How are they disbursing it? Who are the people who are leading the disbursement? These are critical. Yeah. And then for the journalist to even ask, does it even matter where the money is coming from? Obviously, it matters. Whatever you do with state funds, people are to know where it's coming from, whether you have approval or you move slow motor to get those things done. We need to know. Yes, if we do not know, how would we even know how you intend to disburse the amount? How do we even know who you are going to give the amounts to? And when you are going to, like you are even saying, it means that some has been disbursed or it's been disbursed, and I'm unaware. Most MPs, even in the majority, are complaining they are unaware. So how did they go about it? And where is the money coming from? When Parliament has originally given approval for a particular fund to be used.
Okay, so once we are all learning that the contingency vote was where the money came from, and the fact that the Finance Committee of Parliament gave approval, what will the minority do now?
Well, the minority is requesting for something very simple, that let us have a probe into this. Let us call upon the Minister of Finance and Minister of Justice to come and tell us how, first of all, an illegitimacy was legitimized, and how they actually went ahead to even do the disbursements, if at all. Because our thinking is that it's just to enrich a few people, and people are going to take advantage of flood victims and enrich themselves. And it's a cause for worry. We are here to represent the people. We've seen them. I've gone into homes that people have died. I've gone into homes that people have lost their serious property. I've gone into homes that people have been injured just because of this flood. So you want to find out, are you really receiving Parliament together, both minority and majority approved for you to get? And even if you are, is it coming from the restaurant or somebody has just gone to find a way to release money and we can challenge them?
Okay, let me bring in Felix again. Felix, so the minority is calling for a probe into this because Shaib says this is the first time he's hearing about the contingency vote, for example. So will Parliament do this? Will the majority support them in this? just to bring finality to the matters.
Again, Kojo, we must stop entertaining this waste of time. When something is not broken, you don't purport to fix it. What exactly is the problem? So let me ask you a question, for instance. At the end of last month, the Controller and Accountant General, on behalf of government, paid the salaries of not so.
They did.
Has the Controller informed us from which account he took the money? And have we even found it necessary to make that inquiry? There is a structured process through which every money used by the government of Ghana is accounted for at the end of the financial year. Before the finance minister is given approval to spend money from Ghana's funds in 2027, he will account for how the 2026 funds are used. That is how we do it. In between time, unless there is legitimate, compelling basis, you don't come and ask for an accountant. That is not done. Number two, I have stated for you and for the record where the money came from. The contingency vote does not require parliamentary approval. That is the reason why the minister didn't come back. He didn't have to do that because Parliament has already given him the power by virtue of passing the Appropriations Act for 2026 to spend. You understand me? If it was the case that he needed approval to go to the contingency fund, he would have done so. When he came for the approval and he went to the Bank of Ghana, the Ghanaian order served as a blockade, so he couldn't access it. So he just found another means to take the money temporarily, pending the resolution of the problems with the contingency fund. Once that is done, he will just reimburse it. But where he took the money from, he is entitled lawfully to do so. That is what he has done. There's absolutely no problem or no breach whatsoever of any Ghanaian law. So the issue of a probe does not even arise. You understand me? Again, with the issue of who is getting what, again, this is not the place of Honorable Jerry Ahmed or myself as member of Appiah to come and purport to determine who should get what. NADMO is the accredited state agency that deals with disaster relief. They have personnel on the ground that collates data and gives it to appropriate authorities for distribution of relief items. Unless you have compelling evidence that something has gone wrong, you don't say that they have done nothing. I am an MP for Appiah. There are people in AAK affected by floods. Nobody needs my permission or leave to go and share relief items for them. Maybe as a matter of courtesy, I can be informed. But there's no requirement lawfully for me to be informed about anything. So if Honorable Ahmed has any material evidence of any wrongdoing, he should bring it. But this speculation and claim that is being made without any basis must not be encouraged. We must spend precious time discussing very useful things. This habit that the minority has of raising issues where none exist, for me, should be discouraged.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, Felix Kwachofosu there. Jerry, you heard Felix. What's your response?
First of all, let me tell Felix that it is very important that he would acknowledge the fact that what we are discussing is very useful. People all of a sudden have lost their properties. They've lost health. And you are claiming that our call for transparency and accountability and to ensure that the right people receive the amounts we are talking about that cannot be the case. It is a very useful call. And it is also a very useful call to know that the is that we are approved of. And so that tomorrow when there is accountability, we can point out that you came here, you are requesting for this amount, we give you, let us get the details of how the expenditure went. How can you say this is not useful? How can you tell me that as a member of parliament and a representative of the people, I do not have to know exactly what is happening with reference to disbursements in my constituency when I want to meet these people and they are saying that they have not received anything? They are saying it over the fine.
Mr. Saib, are you there? Hello? Mr. Saib. Unfortunately, we've lost him there. Jerry Ahmed Shaib is second deputy minority whip and MP for Wage Agbawe. And earlier you heard Felix Kwachofosu, Minister of State, Government Communications, and MP for Abra Sebu Common Case. This has been top story. Up next is NewsNight.
Tonight, Sefi Sairano in the Western North region is on fire as furious residents torched 2 police posts and blocked roads with burning tires after police shootings left 3 people dead.
The police people were having it very difficult in entering the community. And without the police, it will be very difficult we can start commencing investigation.
Details as Inspector General of Police interdicts 8 officers and directs PIPs to investigate their conduct in connection with the incident that led several others with gun injuries. We are live to our reporters on the ground where anger is boiling.
Also ahead, Attorney General seeks to revoke former Buffer Stock CEO Abdul Hanan's leave to travel to the UK for medical treatment, alleging he relied on an online booking from a UK pharmacy and health and beauty retailer as evidence of a medical appointment, and falsely presented a court order from a different case as a defreezing order for his frozen bank account. We have details as the Attorney General argues the former Buffer Stock CEO is now a greater flight risk.
And later, the Ghana AIDS Commission is pushing back hard after the Interior Ministry disqualified 1,300 security service applicants for being HIV positive, warning the move breaches Act 938 of the AIDS Commission Act 2016.
A lot of security agencies had provisions in place at the peak of the HIV response and where there were no antiretroviral drugs. But today, because of progress with science and the medications, we've even come to a stage where we are talking about U is equals to U.
We have details as the Commission assures of antiretroviral drugs restock amid concerns of declining drug supplies.
In business,
cash suppression, forgery and alteration of documents among top banking sector fraud cases for last year.
And chaos at Asafo in Kumasi as quarters fiercely resist a KMA security task force in demolishing their homes and businesses along spaces the assembly describes as illegal. We have details as 3 of the security personnel are reportedly injured. And later in the bulletin, the Prempeh Circuit Court, Kumasi's top sanitation law enforcer, is facing heat after its own public urinal was found stinking, broken and unhygienic. We have details of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of the show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Don't go anywhere.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me down with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Center Point Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
You know that feeling. A hospital bill that arrives out of nowhere. A diagnosis you weren't prepared for. A system that seems designed to confuse you and costs that keep climbing. And the stress of not knowing if you are protected. Eden isn't lost. Eden Care was created to give it back to you. Eden Care is health insurance made for everyday family life. With Eden Care, getting health care is easy and you are backed by a trusted insurance partner with years of experience. No confusing terms, just complete protection for your entire family. Step back into peace. Step into experience you can rely on. Reach out right now at 059-692-1844 and choose Eden Care today. Eden Care is brought to you by Acacia Health Insurance, a member of the Enterprise Group.
Moolah Sports. See the odd sharp, no long thing. MoolahSports.com.gh. Instant win, instant cash out. MoolahSports.com.gh. Moolah Sports, we run the city. Play, win, cash out. Yes, play and stand a chance to win Moolah at MoolahSports.com.gh. Enjoy premium soccer action, exciting trips on the aviator plane, and exciting spins on all your favorite virtual games. Moolah Sports. More Moolah. Bet responsibly. Gambling can be addictive. Not for persons under 18. This advertisement is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Tonight, irate residents at Sehuyars Sairano in the Jaboso district of the Western North region are protesting recent police killings that claimed the lives of 2 people in the community. They've blocked roads with burning tires and vandalized 2 police posts today. The Inspector General of Police has interdicted 8 officers involved, with the Police Professional Standards Bureau directed to conduct a full investigation into the circumstances surrounding the shooting. One of the victims of the police shooting, Abna Kento, has been narrating her account.
Yesterday, when the incident happened, I wasn't around. Later, my mother called me, and when I got home, I didn't know exactly what had happened. The next thing I realized was that I had been shot in the leg. I knew about the incident. It involved a man who had been beaten for selling alcoholic drinks. Some people were trying to take the man away, but others were preventing them from doing so. That was when the shooting started.
An assemblyman for the area, Samuel Kojo Brace, is calling for cool heads in the wake of the protests and destruction of property.
In fact, what happened yesterday wasn't good. But once it has happened, we need to find a way for the justice. So they should exercise patience and calm down. Once our DCE has also come into the case, justice will be prevailing. So they should calm down and relax and listen to the opinion leaders. Whatever they are trying to tell them, they should allow them and listen carefully so that the justice that we need will prevail. And we need compensation for those who has passed away because they have children, grandchildren, families and others. And those who have been injured, we also need the compensation for them.
District Chief Executive for Jaboso, Alexander Eduquist, who visited the bereaved families and the injured today, confirmed the destruction of the police posts but promised of full-scale investigations into the shootings.
I want to quickly rush to admit that there were some drug peddlers. For me, I term the incident as a normal police duties that they were embarking on that ended up where we have ended now. So since the issue came, I think that from yesterday, with your involvement and the involvement of the community leaders, we managed to evacuate the bodies to the morgue. And today, we needed to come to the community, speak to the opinion leaders, speak to the youth, make sure that at least there is peace prevailing. Once peace is prevailing, then we take it from the next step. That is the investigation. In fact, the police people were having it very difficult in entering the community. And without the police, it will be very difficult. We can start commencing investigation. So when we met the chief, we pleaded, and they have agreed that from Friday, we can bring in the CID people to come to the crime scene to see exactly what happened, so that a report can be put together. Then we arrive at the conclusion, the results of everything. So we are on it. This one, I will not say it's the Sarano community that did that. We all heard it in the news that the post is being bent. Somebody can easily link it to the incident, but as a DASEC chairman, as an assembly, whether it is the community or any other person, we needed to come to the scene to find out exactly what happened. And when we came, we saw that the news that we heard was true. As I was coming, I came with the engineers and my coordinating director. So once they are here, they will put together the report, then we'll take it from there. But we'll make sure the security will still be in existence as far as the district is concerned. But we will try as much as possible to do something about it, so that at the end of the day, the police can come back and continue their normal duties.
That's the DC for Jaboso, Alexander Eduquist. We'll go on the ground shortly, but first, the Western North Regional Police Command has issued a statement on the incident. My colleague Collins Frimpong is joining us in studio with details. Collins, what key issues will the Police Professional Standards Bureau be looking into as part of the investigation?
The investigation is expected to establish the circumstances that led to the confrontation between the community members and the police patrol team, including the events that resulted in the use of firearms and the deaths recorded. The police has not provided further details but assures thorough probe.
And what is the current situation in the community following the incident?
So the Western North Regional Police Command says calm has been restored in Sairano. It also expressed gratitude to chiefs, community leaders and other stakeholders for working with the police to maintain peace, assuring the public that further developments will be communicated as investigations progress.
Thank you very much, Collins.
Let's go to the phone line and speak to Adom FM's Augustine Bois, who has been monitoring events in the community. Augustine, first tell us what the atmosphere is currently in the community.
So since yesterday that the incident happened, according to the release that the police, the calm was just temporary, just to take away the body from the community. But since morning that we went there, still the heat was in the community. The DC was able to speak to the residents and some of the community leaders so as to maintain calm and then to allow investigation to continue. But I can't confirm or to say that peace is still in the pipeline. As the DC said that they are waiting until Friday, so that investigation properly, can be started.
Earlier,
so after speaking, the community is not that calm as we can say. We can put it.
Right. Earlier, the residents blocked access roads and vandalized property. What more can you report on today's protest?
As I speak now, still the road is still being blocked. Not completely, but it has affected traffic in the area. As we used to know, the road is not common now, as we can describe that traffic is being flowed from the community.
What are they asking for?
Very difficult, because earlier they said that they wanted to see the people being arrested, and the Western North Regional Police Command released a press release that the 8 personnel involved have been interdicted. But still, the community members are agitated. This morning when the DC went there, still was trying to, solve the situation, but still the people weren't on themselves. But I think they are still in talks with the people as to remain calm so that proper investigations could be started.
Earlier, the police statement indicated that 2 people were dead because of this incident. We do understand the death toll has risen. Tell us more.
Yeah, 5 people were hit, and then 2 died instantly. 3 were taken to the St. John's of God Hospital. And early this morning, we confirmed that 1 more person, has died. But the person, we understand he was Muslim. So the district chief executive and the opinion leaders, they led the family to the St. John's of God Hospital. So the body has been released to the family for burial.
Thank you very much. You heard Adom FM's Augustine Bois reporting from Sairano.
Let's go on to Zoom and speak to Dr. Victor Doke. He's a lecturer at KAIPTH and also a security analyst. Welcome to the program, Dr. Doke. How would you assess the uneasy calm which has happened in that area?
Thank you. I think the uneasy calm regards to the specific cases of the first with regards to the community, the members versus the state security, the police. We've had, such that previously. Now, what this new development means is
Dr. Doke, your line is pretty bad. If you could kindly reposition yourself and we try again one more time. Let's try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I would say that the harm we experience now is not a fair regards to the security, the community, and how the community are being used or alleged, impropriety or misuse of the situation by the security. That is the police. Now, what it tells as a institution, we have not learned the lessons past with regards to which ways we should have, handled de-escalating, dialoguing with.
Oh my goodness! We want to have a very fruitful conversation, but unfortunately, the phone lines are not permitting that. But I want us to try again one last time. Please make your last point, and let's see.
Is it okay?
Let's try again, sir.
Yeah. So, listen. For us, we have not been able to learn with regards to dealing with community members escalating the situation. Now you have an allegation that will create the state security. The owners will now security to prove this.
Unfortunately, our phone lines are not helping us this evening. That was Dr. Victor Doke there. He is a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center and also a security analyst there, trying to give us some insight as to why there's still an easy calm in that part of the Western North region. We'll try to reconnect the lines and get him back for more. But in the meantime,
the Attorney General has asked the High Court to revoke the permission it's granted Hanan Abdul Wahab to travel to London for medical treatment. In an application filed before the court today, the Attorney General alleges that Hanan relied on an online booking with UK pharmacy and health retailer Boots as evidence of a medical appointment. The application also alleges that he falsely presented a court order relating to a different case as proof that freezing orders on his bank accounts had been lifted. The Attorney General argues that these actions have made Hanan a greater flight risk and justify revoking the leave to travel previously granted by the court. Caleb Ziblim from the Joy Research Desk joins me in studio with more. Caleb, what does the Attorney General's latest application say?
So the AG is asking the courts to revoke Hanan's permission to travel to the UK, and that the application is based on 4 main arguments. Now, the first is that the AG is alleging that after the courts granted him leave to travel, Hanan attempted to withdraw money from a bank account that had been frozen by the courts. According to the affidavit, he told Republic Bank that the freezing orders had been lifted and presented a court ruling from a different case involving landed property, even though that ruling did not apply to the frozen bank accounts. Second, the AG is also arguing that this conduct has significantly increased Hanan's flight risk. The affidavit says his actions have made him a greater risk of absconding when the court originally granted him permission to travel. The AG is also challenging the fact that the medical basis for the trip. The affidavit argues that the medical reports submitted only point to allergies and catarrh. Conditions, it says, can be treated with anti-allergy medication here in Ghana. It also says Hanan did not provide evidence of an appointment with a medical specialist in London, but rather submitted an online booking for a routine test at Boots Opticians. And Boots Opticians is a UK health and beauty retailer and pharmacy chain. Now, the AG argues that this does not qualify as a valid medical appointment with a medical officer. And finally, the Attorney General also argues that Hanan's attempt to access the frozen bank accounts amounts to a breach of the court's freezing orders and suggests that he may also fail to return to Ghana to stand on trial. On that basis, the AG is saying that the court should revoke the permission it previously granted him for travel, and the court is expected to hear this matter on 16 July at 9 a.m.
There's a swift response from the lawyers of the former Buffer Stock Company boss. What does it say?
So, Hanan's legal team, led by the former AG, Godfrey Dame, has strongly rejected the AG's allegations, describing Hanan's arrest as unlawful and an attempt to undermine the High Court's order granting him permission to travel. First, the lawyers deny that Hanan attempted to withdraw any money from the frozen bank accounts. They say no money was withdrawn and challenge the AG to produce any evidence such as a check or withdrawal slip to support the allegation. They also argue that there were no valid freezing orders in force at the time because the orders had elapsed after Hanan was discharged in the earlier case. They therefore maintain he was not in the breach of any order. Also, the legal team is accusing the AG of trying to justify Hanan's arrest after the fact. They claim the application to revoke his leave to travel was filed after he had already been arrested and say the AG's public account of the timeline isn't accurate. And finally, the lawyers describe the new bail conditions imposed by Yoko, including a 5 million bail with 2 sureties, as outrageous and unreasonable. They argued that Hanan was already on court-granted bail and had been complying with all reporting requirements. According to the legal team, Hanan had chosen to remain in custody while challenging the legality of his arrest and the new bail conditions before the courts.
Thank you very much, Caleb Siblim.
Godfrey Yeboah-Dame is a former Attorney General and also the lead counsel for Abdul Hanan. He's joining us on the telephone lines for more on this. Mr. Dame, welcome to the program. These pronouncements by the Attorney General might have been a blow to you.
Hello.
Mr. Dame, welcome to the program.
Good evening to your listeners.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I'm saying that this must have been a big blow, these pronouncements by the Attorney General.
Big blow? I mean, an application founded on truth and trying to justify a situation which is clearly unlawful after the fact. That can be a big blow. You see clearly a bundle of contradictions that has been put out by the Attorney General. How can he say that the application that was filed, which led to the order granting permission for Hanan to travel, was not weak and was weak? Is that what you're saying? That the application was weak and was based on some report, a medical report, which were not correct? Was he not in court? And did he not argue? The Attorney General was in court. The application was not ex parte, was not at his blind side. So is he now seeking to argue strongly in opposition to that application after he argued in court and whatever arguments he made were overruled and the court granted the order? I mean, clearly, if the Attorney was dissatisfied with the order given by the court, all he had to do was to appeal against it. He failed to do so, and is now seeking to argue against that order which has been given by the court. I mean, I find this very, very unhealthy. And you see, one important thing, yesterday, he came out with a press statement and he said he had, on behalf of the Republic, filed an application before the High Court. Clearly, that was false. He had not filed anything. The press statement that he released was dated yesterday, 7 July, and was read on your program, was it not? And he stated, his first statement was that he had filed on behalf of the Republic an application before the court, when he had not, only for him to proceed to the court today and file it at 1:30 p.m. So you find an attorney general who has the tendency, with all respect, to manipulate the facts, throw dust into the eyes of the public. How can the attorney general be throwing dust into the eyes of the public in claiming that he has filed a process in the court when he had not filed, only for him to rush and file it the following day? This is very unhealthy, and this is the kind of person that makes such allegations and ought to be taken seriously. I don't think so. I don't think we ought to take whatever he is filed quite seriously at all, because he's shown clearly that he is not one who is inclined to putting out facts before the public.
Mr. Dame, according to the affidavits that the Attorney General filed today, he says, or he argues that your client told Republic Bank that the freezing orders had been lifted and presented a court ruling from a different case involving a landed property, even though that ruling did not apply to the frozen bank accounts. How do you explain this?
It's for him to explain, because I do not understand. There's only one case that has been filed against Hanan. There's only one prosecution that the Attorney General has mounted against Hanan, which he discontinued about a month ago and then started a fresh one. Is this telling the public that there were two different cases that he had filed against Hanan? I mean, this whole thing, with all respect, does not make sense.
Was the freezing...
Indeed, hold on. Indeed, the Attorney General filed one set of criminal charges against Hanan and his wife and 3 other accused persons, including companies that were owned by Hanan. He discontinued the prosecution on a specific date and then started another prosecution. When he started that earlier prosecution, he obtained 2 freezing orders from the same high court, one high court. High court is one. 2 freezing orders. And we filed an application to discharge we started an application to discharge one of the freezing orders. And the High Court judge made a clear pronouncement, which he has not contradicted, that in light of the withdrawal of the earlier charges against Hanan, there was no freezing order in place. Is he saying that this principle holds for only one case and does not apply for another case? A principle of law applies based on the same set of facts. And indeed, it is the same set of facts in respect of which the judge made a clear determination that there was no freezing order in place. And if Hanan sends that ruling to the manager of the bank, how can it be an attempt to withdraw money? If Hanan brought the ruling to the attention of the court, how can it be an attempt to withdraw money? Do you withdraw money from a bank with a court ruling? Do you not execute a check? Don't you sign a check? Or you sign some kind of withdrawal notice? The question you ought to ask is whether Hanan has, apart from sending the ruling, bringing that ruling to the attention of the bank, and the Yoko also brings rulings to the attention of the bank. When Yoko obtained the freezing order, they brought it to the attention of the bank. So Hanan also obtained a ruling indicating that freezing order was not in place, and he brought it to the attention of the bank. How does sending a ruling to the bank amount to withdrawing money from the bank? He never signed any check. He never signed any withdrawal notice. To date, he has not signed any. And we still challenge the Attorney General to produce the specific evidence by which Hanan sought to withdraw any amount of money. Exactly how much did he seek to withdraw from the bank? He cannot indicate. So how can he say he attempted to empty his bank account? The question the journalists ought to be asking the Attorney General, what was in the bank account? How much did Hanan seek to withdraw? How much was in that check? Where is that check? Was it even by an email? Where is that email by which he sought to make a demand for withdrawal of any money? There was never any such thing. So clearly, this is just based on false facts. And I'm surprised that he has the temerity to be fighting this. So clearly, the Attorney General was dissatisfied with the order given by the court permitting Hanan to travel. And he found the directive to the BNI for Hanan to be stopped as the most convenient way of challenging the order. I find it very, very reprehensible that the Attorney General will seek to undermine and subvert the authority of a court by getting BNI to stop a person in whose favor an order of a court has made from traveling.
In your statement, you conclude, point 9, that your client, in spite of the false charges against him, has expressed his resolve to remain in custody. Help us understand why he wants to remain in custody.
Yeah, because the point is simple. Yoko, the BNI, and the Attenjura are engaged in an unlawful exercise. They have unlawfully arrested and detained the gentleman since Saturday night, and they continue to keep him. They have not presented him before a court of law. They have not charged him with any offense. To date, Hanan has not been charged with any offense, in spite of all the Facebook posts by the Deputy Attenjura. He has not been arraigned before court on any allegation relating to a breach of a freezing order. And he has not attempted to breach any freezing order. He has not withdrawn any money from any bank. Now the point is simple. The point is simple. So Yoko yesterday brought him from BNI to 2 days ago, brought Hanan from BNI to Yoko's custody and purported to impose conditions on him. And those conditions are outrageous. 5 million Ghana needs to be justified. To be justified, and an offense that he has not committed, an offense that, according to the Attenjura, he has not even succeeded in committing, and result of which there's no money involved. Why then do you impose 5 million Ghana to be justified? And this whole practice of Yoko, an investigative body which is not a court of law, and imposing bail conditions and then turning around to say the accused person or the suspect should justify, is wrong.
So how long is your client going to continue staying in the custody of Yoko then?
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm asking you, how long is your client going to continue to stay in the custody of Yoko?
So we make the simple request of the Attenjura. He must abide by the law. The Constitution of the Republic says that if a person is arrested, he ought to be brought before court within 48 hours. Otherwise, he must be released. Yoko has no basis at all to subtly engage in a further unlawful detention of the accused person by imposing further conditions on him. The man is already on bail by the court. If he is released today, he cannot escape the country because he's bonded. He's bonded by a court of law. He's already on conditions imposed by the court, and he has been moving about the country freely. So it is for that reason that he sought a special court order mandating him to leave the country. And if indeed now they've seized his passport back, he cannot leave the country. On what account did they impose further conditions, asking him to bring 5 million in order to be justified? Okay. Is there anything personal that is between them, Yoko, Raymond Acha, and Hanan? I wonder. Because indeed, he's been in Yoko custody for about 50 days already. The first time he was arrested, he was in for about 3 weeks, and then he was sent to court, and the court imposed some outrageous bail terms. Again, he went back in for almost a month before he was able to justify or satisfy the bail terms. And then he was rearrested again when the charges were withdrawn. And now today, the court has given an order for him. He's been rearrested. What's the point? It's about 50 days. So the man says he's tired, he's exhausted, and indeed, unless he places his faith in the courts of law.
Right, Godfrey Yabuadame, thank you very much. He's a former Attorney General and also the lawyer for the former Buffer Stock CEO, Abdul Hanan.
With less than 48 hours to the National Sanitation Day exercise, Zoomlion says it has activated 5 transfer stations across the Greater Accra region to receive waste collected during the cleanup. But despite the preparations, concerns remain over the final disposal of the waste as pressure continues to mount on existing landfill sites. We'll hear from Zoomlion shortly, but first here's environmental engineer Dr. Juliet Ohime Ntiamwa, who says while transfer stations are important, government must equally address the challenge of final waste disposal to ensure the exercise delivers lasting results.
The actual issue is there is not much investment in our waste management. So even after the collection, what happens to the waste itself is something that, that's a whole conversation on its own. We don't do enough recycling, and we don't even do sorting of our waste, which also means that everything will have to be sent to the landfill sites. And the landfill sites are almost full. And so because the landfill sites are almost full, these are Boboya people, pick the waste and sometimes dump it anywhere else. So the first thing that as a country, I think I recommend we do is treating sanitation as a priority. And we need to provide well-engineered landfill sites that when waste is deposited there, it's not returning to the environment untreated.
We can now hear from Governmental Affairs Officer at Zoomlion, Mukon Aqua, who says they are fully prepared for the exercise.
Zoomlion, as the leading waste management company, we've gathered all our resources, all our trucks. We are using about 25 trailers, about 30 compaction trucks. It will be difficult to mention all the equipment that we are using, but we are bringing all equipment on board to ensure that the problem that we have and the cleanup that the President has mentioned, it becomes successful. You know that because of the flooding, we are having, let me say, extra waste. Things that were not waste because of the flooding now is waste in so many of the communities. And if we don't take care and clear them, there will be outbreak of diseases. So Zoomlion as a company, we are ready with all our resources. We have transfer stations that were not active. Now we have opened all 5 transfer stations and we are using it from Friday. And what it means is that because we'll be using more of our trucks and other people will be joining us, the assemblies are all joining us, we don't want the turnaround time to affect the exercise, because if we are taking the waste to the final disposal site, the turnaround time is about 100 kilometers. That would take like 4 or 5 hours. It would affect the program. That is why we saw it prudent to open all the transfer stations so that we can take the waste from wherever we are getting them from to the transfer station. Then the bigger trailers will take them to the final disposal site.
Joining me now is Head of Public Relations at the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy, Religious Affairs and Sanitation, Prince Boateng for more. Prince, welcome to NewsNight. We've heard from Zoomlion. They say they're ready. Is government also ready for the upcoming exercise? Do I have Prince on the line?
To your listeners.
We just heard from Zoomlion. Zoomlion says it is ready. I want to find out how prepared is government towards this particular exercise.
Your lines seem to be dropping intermittently. I don't know what's happening. Your lines seem to be dropping intermittently.
I'm
I don't
asking
know if
whether you are
now.
prepared for this upcoming cleanup exercise.
Yes, we are very much prepared. This is a presidential declaration, and the ministry, for that matter, has taken it in good faith. It is for that reason that Zoomlion and other waste management companies are telling you that they are ready. They are ready because we, as a ministry, we have engaged them, the environmental service providers. We have engaged them. We have also engaged the various MMDCs. And we are ready for the exercise.
So really, how is this going to work? Because you are told CEOs, head of public institutions, parliament, MPs, they're all going to be out. How are they going to do this cleanup exercise, leading the charge on Friday?
Well, my sister, you will recall that the president has set up a task force that is coordinating this whole exercise. So with respect to this particular question, I wish that somebody from the committee is able to react to this. My duty and for that of my ministry is to ensure that the various MMDCs whom we have jurisdiction over are able and ready to mobilize and ensure that within their various assemblies the exercise is undertaken. We have met with them. We've had a series of discussions with them. We've told them the support that the Environmental Service Providers Association is also ready to offer. The ministry has gone ahead to engage the informal operators, the Abuboya people that you were referring to. We've engaged them as well. We've also engaged the various volunteer groups that work within the sanitation space. And so for that matter, we've done our coordination bit, and we are really hoping that Ghanaians in general will turn out in their numbers and ensure that our environment is clean.
One very important question is where the waste will be transported to after they leave the areas where we are going to be cleaning. The issue of our landfill sites. Do we have an existing landfill site to collect the amount of waste we will be gathering or removing from our drains, from our gutters in our environment? Do we have a space to contain the waste?
For now, I will say that we have some. You will recall that the other gentleman you were speaking to was telling you that our landfill sites are almost full. He didn't say that they are full.
Okay.
So in the long term, we are working to ensure that we get adequate landfill sites. But at least for now, what we have is adequate for the current exercise that we are undertaking. And so because this is an emergency exercise, I want us to restrict ourselves to the emergency exercise and ensuring that everybody gets on board. The transfer stations have been opened, the various landfill sites that are available. The reason why we're having the problem with the Abuboyas is that because the transfer stations were closed, they will now have to go to the landfill sites, which are very far. Now that the transfer stations are opened, they will take them there, and the trucks, which can access the various landfill sites, will take them there. So at least for now, we can manage with the situation. And after this emergency exercise, we can then sit down and have a wider and broader discussion on the way forward.
It's very important for us to know the number of landfill sites we are dealing with here. You mentioned some. What are they?
I wouldn't go into the details of that. I'm saying that we have the transfer stations that are opened. One problem that we're having with the informal operators was that assessing even the already existing landfill sites that are almost full was difficult for them because of distance and because of other reasons. The trucks can access those places. And that is why when we engage them, we've told them, make sure that the refuse that you evacuate are sent to the transfer stations, which are closer. And then the trucks will take them to the landfill sites that are available. And we wouldn't have challenges confronting this particular exercise. The wider discussion of having other engineered landfill sites, I think that after this exercise is over, we are in a crisis. Let's manage the crisis, and going forward, we deal with the broader issues.
So finally, we would not have any problem after transporting the waste to the transfer stations. We would not have any problem because you have enough transfer stations and landfill sites to contain the amount of waste we'll be removing from our environment on Friday and Saturday. Can you give us that assurance?
After the engagement with our various stakeholders, that assurance is what they have given us, and we have no reason to doubt them. The challenges we're having have to do with the transfer stations in the immediate terms. Now that they are opened, we are sure that there will be no indiscriminate dumping of refuse by the informal waste collectors. It will be sent to the transfer stations from where the bigger trucks will evacuate them to the available landfill sites for now.
Grateful for your time. Prince Boateng is head of Payout, Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs.
It's now time for business. George Wiafe is here with the very latest. George, what have you got for us?
Well, Kenneth, coming up, cash suppression, forging or tracing of documents are among top banking sector fraud cases reported for last year. And PwC Ghana optimistic measures instituted by Bank of Ghana would aid steady stability in the coming months. The business news on NewsNight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Sinter's tanks and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Ufie betimi adani baby a upebia. Ebetimi adani stadium. Hey, what a strike! Ana fa kwa yebu TV, any computer game wo. Aha! Yenko. Atoda, ebetimi adani classroom.
Madam, me pacho menti ase.
Yo, yen samfa subio. Ni ewo he na wonti ase no.
Nini na.
Ebetimi adani office.
Aha, orders no ahina ye ready. Okay, Mundi can fanko East Legon.
Ebetimi po, eswa ye fa ko a, ye hwehwemu wo.
Daddy, e dia ne big bang theory.
Chain.
Mami bisa chat GPT.
Ubetimi ama ufie adani baby a opese eyibia efise emfa ho ne ne opese oye wo ufie MTN fiber betimi aboa amwaye nya 500 Mbps unlimited internet ani bo no form a free 299 Ghana cedis echo for MTN fiber bra ufie ana wadwuma mu ene come my MTN app no so ana say bo *5057# but check fiber availability no so ana say number e wo gen no na receive fiber broadband e wo baby a wotino a na tobi ene ya
MTN.
Who dey brush? We dey brush them. Who dey brush? We dey brush them. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth every day and night. Slide the gems and tackle them. Brush the gems away. England gems, we go brush them. Asia gems, we go brush them. Panama gems, we go brush them. We go.
Whatever the gems, brush them away with the new Pepsodent, now in limited edition World Cup packs. This advert is FDA approved.
Eno, you know what our father left us when he died?
Debts?
He left us land, Eno. But Nanayo said the land is his. The court said, come back in 2031.
Hey, that's not an inheritance. That's a curse, brother.
Real Ejapade doesn't come with disputes. At Devtraco Woodlands, a 592-acre master plan gated city in Dawenya, your inheritance is waiting. Don't leave your children a court case. Leave them Devtraco Woodlands, the Ejapade they'll be proud of. Visit woodlands.devtracogroup.com. Call or WhatsApp us today on 0208-732-302.
Kofi, I think we need to call them.
Devtraco Woodlands, where your roots run deep.
This football season, Star Oil and Point Africa, they give you double. Every Monday and Tuesday, fuel up at Star Oil and get 2 times your bonus points. That's right, double points when you buy quality and affordable fuel from Star Oil. Now, fuel the game for Point Ibeji. From 1st June to 19th July, collect and redeem points in the Point Africa app for amazing rewards, including fuel vouchers, flat screen TVs, PlayStation, Bluetooth speakers, blenders, and food deals. First come, first serve. Charlie, don't just pay. Get point, use point. Download the Point Africa app today. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuel for all. Terms and conditions apply.
Introducing Ghana's leading pay-as-you-copy photocopier leasing company. Lease an A4, A3, heavy-duty or production machine and pay for only the copies made or design your own payment plan. Simple and tietia. That's not all. Incredibly, toners, repairs, maintenance, follow-me printing, centralized tracking all come free of charge. Remember, financial prudence is the name of the game. Folks, forget about the expensive gimmicks and be smart. Join the hundreds of satisfied clients across all the 16 regions and every sector of the economy and save over 60% of your printing costs. Visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Be prudent and lease a copier. Terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease is a wholly owned Ghanaian company. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Syntax Tango! Syntax, hey, tough, hey, strong. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Syntax, hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, Ghana shout, sing the song. When the sun they hot, Syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start. Syntax
Sasso, come tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Edrana drama in your possession. Yeah, how can see all the malaria? Minya me phone, me sasso spray. Every mosquito start to run away. Come tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Come tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani shamne die edemo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on NewsNight. Now, cash suppression, forgery and alteration of documents. These are some of the top banking sector fraud cases reported for last year. There is more in the following report.
The 2025 banking sector report released by the Bank of Ghana today showed other fraud cases captured in the report are automated teller machines and point-of-sale device fraud. The rest are fraudulent withdrawals and electronic money. But a careful look at the numbers showed that, in terms of cases, the point-of-sale device fraud had the highest. Out of the 472 cases reported, it accounted for more than 250 of them. While when it comes to the value of these reported cases, cash suppression accounted for more than half of the total value of 57 million cedis. According to the Bank of Ghana, this also represented an 18-fold increase compared to what was recorded in 2024. The significant jump, according to the managers of the banking economy, was due to what they describe as an outlier situation involving an amount of 36 million cedis. A careful look at the report showed there were staff involvement in fraud and cash suppression across banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, Bank of Ghana is insisting that the reduction in the number of recorded cases showed that the regulatory intervention is getting the needed results. Erica Boya is head of fraud investigations and reporting at the Bank of Ghana.
As you can see from the report, we have seen some significant decrease in the number of cases that have been recorded in the commercial banks, as well as a decrease in the value at risk recorded in the commercial banks. Yes, the Bank of Ghana is concerned. We, as a regulator, what we usually do is to ensure that our institutions put in the right controls in place. We cannot stop fraudsters from carrying out their act. But what we do is to make sure that the right controls are in place. Even when the fraudsters attempt, they will not be able to go through with their transaction. And so we ensure that the institutions are putting in the right controls in place. There are a few outliers that I must say we recorded over the period, and these were some of the outliers that accounted for the rise in this fraud in these areas.
Head of Fraud Investigations and Reporting Unit at the Bank of Ghana, Erica Bayo. Now, accountant firm PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana is optimistic that forex measures instituted by the Bank of Ghana would aid the city's stability. It's coming out of the Bank of Ghana revealed in a document that recent challenges that have hit the Ghana city might be coming to an end. Let's hear the thoughts of senior partner PwC Ghana, Vish Ashagbo.
In terms of the CD, we've seen the CD come under a little bit of pressure recently, but we've also seen in the last couple of days Bank of Ghana injecting some dollar into the market to stabilize the CD. So from a medium-term point of view, we continue to believe that the CD will continue to operate within the current band in which it's operating. We don't expect to see any major appreciation or depreciation one way or the other.
Vish Ashagbo is senior country partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana. Now, Ghana Revenue Authority has given salt mining firm Electrochem 7 days ultimatum to settle outstanding 6.8 million Ghana cedis tax liability to the state or risk sanction. And this follows a series of failed engagements in the company in an attempt to realize these funds. Officers of the compliance unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority today sealed up the administration block of the company at the dam. Now, here is the Accra manager in charge of enforcement at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Gyasi, and addressing the media after the operation.
We are always friendly to our taxpayers, but then we keep our eyes on the ball. So what we have done is to seal up the administrative block. Immediately, they are paying 200,000, which is woefully inadequate. But like I always say, a bird in hand is more than a nine in the bush. So we are taking it. But then we'll still seal up the administrative block. And then we are giving them 7 days to do the needful, or come to the head office and have some engagement with our big men. Beyond that, we'll come back and seal off the main gate so that there wouldn't be any access at all to any of them, including even their customers. So we have given them some grace period of 7 days to do the needful. So for now, We are done with the administrative block. We have sealed off completely.
Area manager in charge of enforcement at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Joseph Annan. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George.
A demolition exercise. A demolition exercise by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly turned chaotic on Wednesday afternoon after squatters fiercely resisted the pulling down of unauthorized structures behind the Kokobod building near the Asaf overpass in Kumasi. The task force, backed by police and military personnel, moved in to demolish the makeshift structures, mainly shacks and wooden kiosks, which the assembly says were illegally erected and obstructing pedestrian movement. The irate mob hurled stones and clubs at the task force, which compelled the security personnel to shoot sporadically in the air to disperse the crowd, while some residents and 3 officers suffered physical assaults. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reports.
Tensions rose when occupants of the structures attempted to halt the task force from carrying out the exercise. Some of the occupants pelted stones and clubs at the task force immediately after they commenced the operation. Despite the resistance, the task force proceeded and pulled down several structures. However, the team was forced to retreat temporarily to avoid being injured by the angry mob. A member of the task force reportedly was hit by the missiles. We didn't occupy the land for free. We paid for it through local authorities. This place was impassable. It was then a den for miscreants, but now it is safe. Because we want to fight robbery, people have started business here. Some are into making of shoes, others sell groceries. Why demolish this place? I live with my child. I sell water and soft drinks. I came from Bolga to this place to fend for myself and child. Where do you want me to go now? The demolition exercise forms part of the KMA's ongoing efforts to decongest the Kumasi Central Business District and enforce building and sanitation laws. Richard Oforiajiman Bodi is Kumasi Mayor.
Some of our vehicles have been vandalized. We have lost one pickup in the process. Machine, the excavator, DJ machine that we sent to the excavator has been vandalized. We'll come back with the equipment. Those that we can repair and put them back to work, we'll immediately repair them and put them back to work. And there's no way I'll sit down for illegality to overcome me. So far about, I think 3 or 4. Yeah.
Police also.
City guards. So they are the police station, they're taking their statements, they'll give them medical forms, and then we'll take them to the hospital for them to be given medical care. And then the investigation will continue.
Meanwhile, police have launched investigations to arrest persons who assaulted the security task force. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
That's it for Newsnight this evening. But before we go, a few of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Gemma, what are they saying?
This is from Nana Ekuamwa Boateng in Ablekuma. She says instead of Attorney General and his deputy dealing with the pressing issues affecting ordinary Ghanaians, they are busy persecuting their political opponents with frivolous allegations. And this one also says, Nana from Spinters Road says, NPP must give us a break. We were in this country when they took the contingency funds for the National Cathedral. Please, let's say it's for a more worthy cause this time.
Charles from Legon says, times change indeed. Godfred Dami speaking against improper application of the law. God is good all the time. Musa Abattoir in Aswaso says the development surrounding the former Bafa Stock CEO reinforces the need for greater caution when granting travel permission to persons under investigation. Nene Nyumute from Dansuman says, please, I would advise you to stop speaking to Godfred Dami anytime I hear him call another lawyer being dishonest, my blood runs cold. We have one from Francis as well, who says that to ask, was Godfrey Dami really a former Attorney General? In fact, I regretted not going to law school. When under MPP, funds were taken from contingency fund to dig National Cathedral hole. What did they say? They can go to court even as they are going on to stop the government from the 10th and 11th national cleanup exercise because of their internal election. That's it for Newsnight. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi?
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Right after Newsnight, though, is Strong and Sassy, and Akofa, who just returned from where? Is it Kuala Lumpur?
I returned from where again? Anyways, yeah, so I'm back on the show right after Newsnight, as you said. We're having a conversation about flood and fire safety. Strong and Sassy, we believe that the women can also share in this ongoing conversation and what's happening around us. So what you need to know when, flooding happens in your area, in your home. How prepared are you, basically? So you might want to tune in after this one.
You definitely do not want to miss it. And don't forget to brush your teeth day and night with Pepsodent. Have a good evening.